But Louisiana's job growth isn't booming, and that is according to experts with the Committee of 100. They say our state has seen a slump in economic development projects and a lack of clear planning. The bipartisan group wants to restructure the state's economic development agency with the help of private oversight. I spoke with CEO Adam Knapp for more about the plan. So the Committee of 100's most recent report said, quote unquote, Louisiana's economic development needs a shot in the arm. What are those findings based on?
Louisiana has grown the slowest in terms of number of new jobs compared to all of the southern states in the U.S. That is alarming. We actually spent some time to bring in some consultants that have expertise in this work and looking at how other states do the work of economic development. We found that there's some pretty substantial changes that could be made, should be made, to the functioning work of the department, the agency itself that runs economic development for Louisiana, which is called Louisiana Economic Development.
Can you give us some tangible examples of how Louisiana economic development can be better organized to be more efficient?
It's a great question. So one is, a lot of other states have a private sector board or governing authority that really makes sure that there is a long-term strategic plan for the state. We don't have that. We have a standalone agency and it operates on its own at the direction of the secretary and the governor. So Louisiana has not had either a private sector-led board working with the leadership of the agency or a strategic plan that's setting forth a direction. We have tended to change our economic development strategy in Louisiana every time we elect a new governor. And when that happens, you're constantly shifting strategy every 4 or 8 years.
Historically, Louisiana has been kind of a one-trick pony. We've been super dependent on oil and gas as economic drivers. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion about diversification. Committee of 100, what do you see as the best route to diversify for economic growth?
The big thing we have to make sure is that we think about the distinct strengths of each part of the state, and that informs the long-range strategy about how each region of the state might diversify its economy. Perfect case in point is we see examples in other states of data center projects going to those communities as AI and cloud computing have expanded. We've seen very few data center companies setting up a location in Louisiana. There are some, but not many, not as many as we've seen in other states. Those could be examples that we could go after more of those kinds of projects.
When we talk about economic development, we also have to address outmigration. In particular, I'm talking about the younger generations who are leaving the state. And quite frankly, and I've interviewed many of them, and what I hear over and over again is Louisiana doesn't reflect the values and the lifestyle and the open-mindedness that our generation embraces. Is that a concern?
So it's a great question. So we actually did a pretty exhaustive look over the last 2 previous monthly reports we did. We actually did one fully on the topic of in-migration and another one on the topic of out-migration to pull some data around where people leave Louisiana to go to and where people who move to Louisiana are coming from. And what I've been hearing in my visits around the state with executives is they want to see a workforce strategy for Louisiana that is both better at producing talent out of our education system, but also thoughtful about how to recruit people and retain people in Louisiana. And really, as you pointed out, the age range of that's most critical is this kind of 25 to 44-year-old population, where we've seen pretty stark out-migration across the state in that age range.
One of your policy stances on early childhood education, and right now what's coming out of the current legislature doesn't look very good for the funding of early childhood education.
Well, we would definitely support and encourage that